Hey guys, so today we're talking about RLCS players not getting paid. It's a big problem across esports. Esports pros not getting paid, not receiving their payments on time. But in Rocket League right now, there's a big problem with Epic Games, Psyonix, Rocket League Esports, whatever you want to call them, not paying out the prize pool money for RLCS. So let's dive straight into it. So as you can see here, Zen and a bunch of other pros, by the way, it's like half of the Rocket League scene at this point. Zen put out a tweet saying, at Psyonix Studios, the studio behind Rocket League, needs to break the silence, millions owed to players, servers being DDoSed and ranked, lackluster communication. It's time to invest in those driving esports and evolve for the community's sake. Now, he isn't the only one that put out a statement like this. Like I said, a ton of people put out a statement. Eversax put out a tweet. Rise put out a tweet. A ton of other players put out tweets. Basically, most of the European pro scene put out tweets, with Eversax adding in things like a roadmap that needs to be added to the game, which I'll get into in a minute. Basically, Rocket League Esports is in dire straits, not just for this reason, but it's in a bad way right now. Now, for those of you that haven't necessarily been into Rocket League Esports for a long time, this isn't a new issue. This has been a thing for years. I remember posts from 1 or 2 years ago from collegiate Rocket League players, CRL players, saying that they didn't get their prize pool money from 2020, and even their in-game titles, they didn't receive them. And I think there's still people even waiting on those titles 4 years later. They haven't gotten their money or their titles. It's a big problem, not just in Rocket League, but across esports in general, but it's a particular issue in Rocket League, with Epic Games now coming in and kind of overshadowing and owning everything. Now, after all the pros went out and kind of put out tweets and added Psyonix, added Rocket League, they responded. Not necessarily a good response, but they did respond at least. It's kind of a new thing. They don't usually do that. So they said, hey everyone, we've been seeing some active discussions surrounding RLCS that we want to address. There have been some delays in RLCS tournament prize processing for Rocket League, but all potential prize winners have been contacted or are scheduled to be contacted. Basically, this whole response was like really automated. Honestly, it could have been done by AI. And a lot of the responses like, hey, great communication, blah, 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 blah. But when you actually look into this response, all it does is send you to the help page. All it does is send you to the help page. And from here, if you go back to the tweet and you look at a lot of the replies to it, these are parents of the players. Vatira's mum, you have here, Joyo's dad. I think Joyo's mum also commented on it as well. They haven't been played at all. 18 months. They haven't received the forms to actually get their payments and do their taxes for it. 18 months. Now, just to kind of give a rough picture of what esports is like for those who don't work within the space, getting a payment from a tournament or from an organization, in general, the industry standard is between 30 and 90 days. Anywhere between 30 and 90 days is kind of the standard. If you get it before then, great. If you get it after then, you usually have to chase it up through emails and going through several different loops to try and get things. It's a pain in the ass. But basically, 30 to 90 days, you're good. Anywhere after that, you're not good. 18 months is ridiculous. It is actually ridiculous, especially from the Rocket League esports sphere. You would expect it in smaller tournaments run by, shifty organizations, but to get this in tier 1 level in one of the biggest esports in the world, where almost 500,000 people watched the last World Championship on Twitch. How is this happening? How is this even a thing? I don't understand. It's so bad. And I made a comment on this back in January when the new format was announced. For those who haven't watched RLCS this season or haven't kept up with things, there was a huge format shift. They basically, Epic Games just took the format from Fortnite and planted it onto Rocket League and said, here you go, Rocket League. This is definitely going to work. And the prize pool was expanded from being only within the top 16 for the major regions to being top 128 within the major regions and top 64 for, I think, everywhere else, right? That creates a problem because, as I said here on my tweet, some people are still owed from months or years ago. How are they going to manage to pay out 1,000 extra people who got $10 to $100 in earnings next season? Big elephant in the room, they're not going to be able to pay that. They're not going to be able to pay that. So it's not only the pros that are not getting paid from this, it's also ordinary people who manage to get further and far enough in RLCS qualifiers who now earn money. Now, how do we fix this? How do we solve this issue? First of all, this response from Rocket League Esports is dire, right? That's a terrible response. I don't like it. I liked it at first, and I looked into it and realized it's a terrible response, because the people complaining about it have said that they've gone through the help website before and it's not worked. So how do we fix this? Personally, I think fixing it is a kind of difficult question. How do you fix such a big problem, especially across esports? Ideally, at least in sports, they have like a governing body, right? They have a governing body for everything. So they have, for example, in football, you have the FA, Football Association. They kind of deal with everything. They're the over governing body. In esports, we don't have a governing body, right? We don't have any of that. So you can have crappy organizations like G1, for example. Video on that soon, by the way. That's going to be a spicy one. And you can have big corporations like Epic and Rocket League Esports not paying people, and they can get away with it because there's nobody to call them out. Whilst if you had a governing body that said, hey, you need to make payments legally within 90 days, otherwise people can sue you, I think that reduces the chance of corporations like this taking advantage of players, especially young players. A lot of the people that are owed money from Rocket League Esports and from RLCS, they're like 14, 15. They're not going to get any of their money. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's bad doing it to an adult, but doing it to a kid is even worse. Especially when they can't file their taxes either. That makes it 10 times worse. I just wanted to make a video on this because I feel like it's a really important topic that isn't talked about a lot. The ins and outs of esports and why things are so messed up right now. But I also wanted to talk about this issue in particular because it's totally unacceptable that in 2024 we're still dealing with people not getting their prize pool for 18 months. One of the best players in the world, people who've won majors, right? Spring regionals and Boston major last year, no payments yet. It sucks for other people as well. It's not fair, but I wanted to make a video on it. I feel like it's a really important topic. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's not a normal type of video for me, a talking type of video like this, but I wanted to do it anyway. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.